Okay, question 1 says solve and support your answer with a model or tape diagram. Write your quotient in the blank. Now we use tape diagrams for pretty much everything. So we're going to continue that. Now when we're taking a fraction and dividing it by a whole number, we start off by drawing a tape diagram. Now we're going to model the 1/3. And the way we're going to model that is we're going to split this whole into thirds. So even though it says divided by 6, we're showing one whole. Now we can see we have thirds. Now it says we're going to divide 1/3, which is this one right here. This is 1/3 right here. And we're going to divide that by 6. So we're going to divide it into thirds first. And then I'm going to divide those thirds into sixes. Now that was just the first third. Now I have to do the same thing for the other 2/3. And the last one. This one's going to be difficult. I drew it a little too small. Now, our quotient is actually this one block right here. Okay? And we can see that's 1 out of, we know we have 6, 6, and 6, so it's going to be 1/18. Now, to use the standard algorithm, we know 1/3 divided by 6 is actually equal to 1/3 times its reciprocal, 1/6, which equals 1/18. Okay, C, we have 1/4 divided by 3. So we're going to start off by drawing our tape diagram. And we're going to split this one into quarters. Now we're going to split each quarter into 3 sections. So now we know our quotient is right here. This will be 1. And we know we have 3, 6, 9, 12. So it's going to be 1/12. And we can check this because 1/4 divided by 3 is equal to 1/4 times its reciprocal, which is 1/3, which equals 1/12. Okay, so let's go ahead and D, let's do another diagram. And on this one it says 1/5 divided by 2. So I'm going to have to split this one into fifths. There's 1, there's 3. We do another one on this side, that's 4. And over here is 5. So I split it into fifths. Now it says 1/5 divided by 2. So that means I'm going to split each one of these fifths into 2. And we know our quotient is the first one. So we're going to have 1, and we know this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 pieces. So it's going to be 1/10. And we can check that again by 1/5. All right, these we're just going to go through divided by, and we're going to do them, which equals 1/5 times standard algorithm, 2, which equals, we know 1/10. 1/2 divided by 10 is equal to 1/2 times 1/10, which equal 1/20. 1/4 divided by 10 is equal to 1/4 times 1/10, which equals 1/40. 1/3 divided by 5 equals 1/3 times 1/5, which equals 1/15. 1/5 divided by 3, which equals 1/5 times its reciprocal 1/3, which equals 1/15. 1/8 divided by 4 is equal to 1/8 times 1/4, which equals 1/32. 1/7 divided by 3 equals 1/7 times 1/3, which equals 1/21. 1/10 divided by 5 is equal to 1/10 times 1/5, which equals 1/50. 1/5 divided by 20 equals 1/5 times 1/20, which equals 1/100. Okay, this question's kind of an extension because we really haven't gone over this, but if they draw the model, you should be able to figure it out. It says Solomon has read 1/3 of the book. He finishes the book by reading the same amount each night for 5 nights. So if I were to draw a tape diagram, and I know it says he's read 1/3 of the book. Then it says, what fraction book does he read each of the 5 nights? Well, we know we're going to split this into thirds. We know there was 1/3 that he read, and there were 2/3 that he read over 5 nights. So, first off, I know he read the same amount for 5 nights. So if I split this basically becomes 1/3, or in this case, 2/3 divided by 5, because he's got 2/3 left to divide evenly over 5 nights. So we're going to go ahead and divide these 2/3 into fifths. And just like before, in order to get our proper denominator, we're going to do the first one also, because remember, this is one whole here. So now, in order for this to be equal, we can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he would have read this part on the first night, and he'd have read this part on the first night. So we know this would be 2 out of, and there's 5 here, 5 here, and 5 here. So it'd be 2/15 he read per night. And we could check that because we can see 2/3 divided by 5 is equal to 2/3 times 1/5, which equals 2/15. B says, if he reads 14 pages on each of the 5 nights, how long is the book? Well, we can see it says if he read 14 each night, we just saw that this would have to be 7, and this one would have to be 7, because he's reading 14. So now we know that each one of the fifths would be equal to 7, and that means that the first third would also have to equal 7 in each. So we know we have 1/7 times, it's 15, which we know that could be equal to 7 times 10 plus 7 times 5 to make it easier for us, which 7 times 10 is 70, plus 7 times 5 is 35. So we know this would equal 105 pages. Now if we wanted to check ourselves, we would divide 105 by 15, and we divide that by 15, and so 15 cannot go into this, but 15 should be able to go into 105, so let's try this. 15 times 7. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 1 is 7, and 3 is 10. So we can see that it checks out